She laughed. "You'll never find better than me." I didn't argue, just married the girl she bullied in college. Reunion photos with my wife in her old seat destroyed her forever. I swear some moments carve themselves so deep into your memory that you can still feel the temperature of the air years later. For me, it was a cold night behind the Portland Observatory. The night Addison laughed in my face when I told her I wanted a real future with her. And not just a confused laugh. No, she howled, like I just told the funniest joke she'd ever heard. Then she tossed that line at me like it was nothing. "You'll never find better than me." I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't even ask her to explain. I just closed the ring box, stood up, and walked away from the woman I'd wasted almost 3 years trying to impress. 3 years of adjusting my interests, rearranging my goals, pushing down every red flag, because I thought commitment meant patience. But the truth is, commitment only works when both people actually want a future. Turns out she wanted freedom, attention, validation, everything except partnership. I left Oregon 2 days later with whatever fit in my Honda, and a sense of humiliation that sat so heavy it felt like wearing wet cement. I blocked her everywhere and told mutual friends I needed absolute distance. Some understood. Some didn't. Didn't matter. I was done performing for someone who saw me as boring background noise. And if I'm being honest, I didn't expect to ever fall in love again. Not real love. Not the kind that grows roots. I was just trying to start breathing normally again. Austin was supposed to be temporary. A consulting contract. A cheap rental. A chance to stop waking up with that horrible replay in my head. Her laughing. The meteors fall behind her like a cosmic punchline. Funny how life sets up new chapters when you least expect it. I met Riley at a community environmental design workshop. She strolled in late, hair in a messy knot, wearing paint-stained overalls like she sprinted straight from an art studio to a city planning meeting. She caught my eye because everyone else had PowerPoints and tablets, but she had a sketch pad full of hand-drawn maps and notes in the margin. And when she talked, God, the room went quiet. Sharp mind, warm voice, actual curiosity. None of that performative interest I'd been used to. She stayed after to ask about my presentation, and somehow we ended up standing in the parking lot for 2 hours talking about sustainable neighborhoods, wildflowers, and how the city parks department desperately needed better leadership. It felt different from the first 5 minutes, like breathing fresh air after months inside a sealed room. And maybe the wildest part, she already knew who I was. "We went to Oregon State at the same time," she told me. "Didn't know you personally, but I knew her." My stomach dropped. She didn't have to say Addison's name. I already knew. Riley said something I'll never forget. "You always seem like a decent guy stuck inside the wrong orbit." I didn't realize orbit was exactly the right word until she said it. I'd spent years circling someone who thought gravity was optional. What Riley didn't tell me until months later was that Addison had made her life hell back in college. Subtle bullying, snide comments, little jabs designed to make Riley feel small. And the funniest part? Riley had genuinely forgotten all about her until she saw her name on one of my old photos. Life is strange like that. Our relationship wasn't some fairy tale explosion. It was slow, steady, patient. Like two people learning how to build something instead of grabbing whatever felt exciting in the moment. Riley asked real questions, remembered real details, wanted real things. And she was upfront, blunt even, about wanting marriage and kids someday. No games. No, don't tie me down. No pretending commitment was a trap. With Riley, the future felt like a walkway we were building together, brick by brick. 6 months later, I proposed during a sunrise hike at Enchanted Rock. She cried. I cried. Nobody laughed. And I didn't know it then, but that moment would eventually become the spark for the wildest full-circle collision of my life. The 10-year Oregon State reunion invitation arrived the same week Riley and I closed on our eco-friendly farmhouse outside Austin. She wanted to go. I didn't. Not because I was embarrassed anymore, but because college felt like a version of myself I didn't recognize. But she nudged me, gently, reminded me that running from the past doesn't count as moving on. So we went, And I swear the room froze when we walked in. Riley, my wife, was radiant. The kind of beautiful that isn't about looks but about presence. Confident, grounded, easy to talk to. And every single person who remembered Addison's antics immediately recognized exactly who Riley was and exactly what it meant that I showed up with her on my arm. Addison saw us about 20 minutes in. She blinked like she was seeing a ghost, and then stared so hard it was almost funny. She didn't come over. She pretended she was too busy talking to people who were obviously trying to escape the conversation. But the glances never stopped. The whispers either. People love watching karma arrive in real time. The photo happened by accident. Riley and I sat down at one of the long cafeteria-style tables, her old table, and a group of classmates asked if they could take a picture of us. Not staged, not petty. Just a joyful snapshot at a reunion. Someone later posted it on Facebook. The caption said something innocent like, "Love seeing old OSU faces building such beautiful lives." I didn't post it, didn't share it, didn't even think about it after that. But someone tagged me, and someone else tagged Riley, and someone, God bless them, tagged Addison by mistake, maybe because she liked every reunion photo trying to appear socially relevant. And that was the beginning of the end. She messaged me at 2:14 a.m., a long, emotional essay about how she'd been immature back then, how she never meant to hurt me, how she always wondered what might have happened if she'd been ready for real love. She said seeing me with Riley broke something open inside her. She said she could tell Riley worshiped me, but that no one would ever understand me the way she did. I woke up, read the message twice, then passed the phone to Riley. She read it once. Then she handed it back and said, with the calmest voice I've ever heard, "You don't owe her anything. Delete it." And just like that, the last bit of oxygen feeding whatever ashes were left inside me went out. I didn't reply. I didn't block her either. Not immediately. I wanted her to see that little scene check mark. Riley kissed my shoulder, then went back to making organic baby food in the kitchen. Life keeps moving forward, even when the past tries to take one last bite. What I didn't know until a week later was that Addison had commented publicly, on the reunion photo. A long rant about how she could have been the one, how she made a mistake letting me go, and how she wasn't threatened by Riley even though everyone else seemed obsessed with comparing them. She deleted the comment after 20 minutes. But 20 minutes is a lifetime online. Screenshots flew, not from me, not from Riley, from people who remembered exactly who Addison used to be. And those people, they did not hold back. Someone replied with, "Wild how the girl you used to bully married the man you thought wasn't good enough." Someone else added, "Turns out he found better after all." I didn't join the dog pile. I didn't need to. The past was correcting itself without my involvement. The real ending, though, the part that closed the book for good, came 2 months later. We were at home, the twins asleep in the nursery, Riley reading a city planning journal while I tightened bolts on a vintage motorcycle I was restoring. Peaceful, ordinary, good. My phone buzzed. A final message from Addison. "I finally understand what I threw away. You look like you're living the life I always thought I'd have someday. I hope you appreciate what she gives you. I wasn't capable of it. I wish I had been. And I don't know, I felt something then. Not anger, not satisfaction. Just this profound, quiet understanding. She hadn't loved me. Not really. She had loved the idea of being loved without having to give anything back. Riley wasn't prettier or smarter or better competition. Riley was simply willing to build a life, not consume one. That was the difference. That was always the difference. I didn't reply. I turned off my phone, walked into the nursery, and stood there watching the twins breathe softly in their cribs. Riley joined me a minute later, slipping her hand into mine the way she always does when she knows I'm lost in thought. And in that moment, I understood something so clearly it almost hurt. The worst night of my life, the humiliation, the laughter, the ring snapping shut, had been the doorway to everything good. Not because pain is noble or heartbreak makes you wiser, but because walking away from someone who couldn't love me made room for someone who genuinely could. And loving someone who chooses you wholeheartedly is a kind of peace you don't gamble with. Not for nostalgia, not for ego, not even for closure. The life I have now didn't happen after Addison. It happened because I finally let go of the version of myself who thought her approval meant something. Turns out it didn't. Turns out she was wrong. I did find better. I found home.